You can't imagine how it feels to stand on the porch of your old family cabin after years away, breathing in that crisp mountain air that smells like pine and rain-soaked soil. The valley had always been my escape from the noise of the world, until the HOA moved in. My name's Ethan McCord, and for the past decade, I'd been working overseas on environmental projects. The valley where my grandparents built their cabin, Hollow Creek Valley, was supposed to be untouched land, protected by strict zoning. That changed when some slick developers decided to turn the surrounding hills into a luxury mountain community. They called it Hollow Creek Estates. I called it a parasite. When I left 10 years ago, the cabin was surrounded by forest and silence. When I came back, I was met with paved roads, security gates, and self-important people in golf carts who acted like they owned the world. The HOA president, or as the neighbors called her, Karen Whitmore, was the queen bee of this little kingdom. Blonde bob, mirrored sunglasses, clipboard always in hand, she patrolled the community like it was her personal fiefdom. Too bad for her, my family's land predated all of this. The return. The morning I came back, I drove my old pickup down the narrow dirt road that led to the cabin. I had to stop 3 times because HOA workers had installed those ugly white fences across parts of the property line. One even had a private HOA property, no trespassing sign. That sign was planted directly on my deeded land. By the time I reached the cabin, I was fuming. But I let it go. For now, the cabin looked just like I remembered. Cedar wood darkened by age, the porch swing hanging slightly crooked, and the faint echo of creek water running nearby. I spent the day cleaning up, patching the roof, and airing out the old place. By dusk, I was sitting on the porch with a coffee in hand, enjoying the silence. That's when I heard it, the sharp growl of a golf cart. The first encounter. Karen rolled up the gravel path like she was leading a parade. 2 HOA patrol volunteers followed her in another cart, both wearing fluorescent vests. She parked at the base of my porch and called out, "Greater than, excuse me, sir. This property is part of Hollow Creek Estates. You can't be here without HOA clearance." I blinked. "Come again." She frowned, adjusting her sunglasses. "This cabin was abandoned years ago. The HOA board designated it as a safety concern in a protected zone." "Who gave you permission to enter?" I laughed. "Lady, this is my cabin. My name's on the deed." Her lips pursed like she'd bitten a lemon. "That's impossible. All land within the gated perimeter is under Hollow Creek HOA jurisdiction." That's when I pulled out my folder. I always keep my paperwork close. "The deed, the map, the survey lines, everything. See this," I said, pointing at the old survey map. "The entire valley floor, including this cabin, the creek, and everything west of the ridge, is McCord property. Has been since 1947. Her face twitched. "That can't be right. We were told the HOA bought all the valley land." "You bought hillside parcels," I corrected. "The valley itself, the bottom half you built your private trails and maintenance sheds on, still belongs to my family." Karen looked like she wanted to argue, but instead she said coldly, "Greater than, we'll see about that. Don't move anything or alter the property until this is verified. You might be trespassing on our land." Then she drove off. I didn't move anything, except to reinstall my no trespassing sign right beside her fence. The call. 2 days later, I was rebuilding the cabin's porch steps when I heard sirens. A sheriff's cruiser rolled up, lights flashing. Behind it, Karen's golf cart. She had that smug smile plastered across her face like she'd just solved a murder. The deputy stepped out, hand resting on his holster. "Sir, we got a call about a trespasser refusing to vacate HOA property." I set my hammer down slowly. "Deputy, I think there's been a misunderstanding." Karen jumped in before I could say more. "He's not supposed to be here. He's broken into this cabin, damaged HOA fencing, and is claiming ownership of property that belongs to Hollow Creek Estates." The deputy looked at her, then at me. "You got any proof of ownership, sir?" "Oh, do I ever." I walked to my truck, pulled out the same folder, and handed it over. The deputy studied it, the deed, the tax receipts, the stamped county maps. Then he turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this deed's valid. It was filed before your HOA's incorporation by over 70 years. Karen's mouth fell open. That's not possible, the developers said. The developers were wrong, the deputy interrupted. Ma'am, unless you have documents that override this, you're trespassing on his land. Her jaw clenched. Deputy, this whole community was built with proper permits. Maybe so, I said calmly, but a lot of it's sitting on my property line. And I can prove it. The audit. Turns out, the county had never updated the survey maps when the HOA developments expanded into the valley. The developers just assumed the land below the ridge was theirs. The HOA had built trails, a small pond, and even part of their clubhouse drainage system right on McCord land. When the deputy called in a county surveyor to verify, it got worse for them. The official survey confirmed that about 23% of the HOA's land improvements, including a section of the private access road, crossed into my valley property. Karen's smugness evaporated overnight. Still, the HOA wasn't done fighting. The meeting. They summoned me to an emergency board meeting at their community center. I showed up in jeans and boots while they sat around in blazers like a corporate tribunal. Karen started off, her tone sharp as glass. Greater than, Mr. McCord, the HOA board believes your deed is outdated. We're prepared to offer you a settlement to clear any overlapping claims. I leaned back. How much? $25,000, she said, like she was offering me gold. I laughed. That might cover your tennis court's monthly maintenance, not 200 acres of prime valley land. Another board member, a guy named Todd, tried smoothing things over. Greater than, surely there's a compromise. We've invested heavily in community infrastructure. You mean the infrastructure you built on my property, I corrected. That's called encroachment. Karen's voice rose. You can't just come back after a decade and claim half the valley. I don't have to claim it, I said. I own it. The lawsuit threat. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from their attorney, classic HOA intimidation. It accused me of interfering with community operations, damaging shared property, their fence, and trespassing. They even threatened to fine me $500 per day if I didn't vacate. Big mistake. I responded through my own lawyer, a family friend who specialized in land disputes. His reply was short and brutal. Greater than, any further interference with Mr. McCord's lawful property will be met with a lawsuit seeking full damages for encroachment, unlawful land use, and harassment. Additionally, the HOA's unauthorized improvements on McCord property will be subject to removal at their expense. That letter hit them like a thunderclap. The turnaround. Within a month, the county sent officials to inspect the overlapping structures. The HOA's irrigation lines, storm drains, and walking trail system all extended onto my land. Their entire north access road, the one that connected to the main highway, ran right through my valley. So, I did the most lawful, polite thing I could do. I posted, private road, access by owner's permission only, signs along it and filed for a temporary restriction order until the boundary issue was resolved. The HOA board panicked. Residents couldn't use their main entrance without crossing my property. Some had to drive 12 extra miles around the ridge using a maintenance path. Karen tried to confront me again, this time with a camera crew from their community media team. Greater than, you're holding our neighborhood hostage, she screamed. You built your road on my land, I replied. I'm just using my property rights, the same ones you claim to care so much about. The sheriff returns. A month later, the sheriff came back, not to arrest me, but to enforce my property rights. The county had validated my claim, and the HOA was officially in violation of several zoning codes. When Karen saw the official notices being posted, she lost it. Greater than, you can't do this. You're ruining our community. I looked her dead in the eye and said, greater than, you called the cops on me for being on my own land. Remember that. Now the law's on my side. The HOA had to appear before the County Planning Commission. The developers got slapped with fines. The HOA was ordered to remove all encroachments within 90 days or negotiate a legal land use lease with me. The lease. They tried to buy the land outright, first $200,000, then $400,000. But I wasn't interested. Instead, I proposed something better. Greater than, You can keep using the road, the drainage systems, and the trail access, I told the board. But from now on, you pay me annual rent, $10,000 a year. And every HOA event in the valley needs my written permission. Karen nearly choked. You're extorting us. I shrugged. No, I'm being generous. The county would have forced you to rip up half your roads. This way, you get to keep them, for a price. Reluctantly, they agreed. The lease was signed, notarized, and filed. I even had a clause inserted. Greater than, any harassment or interference with the landowner shall result in immediate termination of access rights. The aftermath. Life got quiet again after that, peaceful, even. The HOA still exists, but now every time Karen drives past the McCord Valley sign I had that custom made, she has to nod and wave because, technically, her neighborhood operates on my land. She still patrols in her golf cart, clipboard and all, but now she never sets foot past my gate without calling first. Sometimes, when I'm on the porch in the evening, I see her cart drive by the ridge. And I can't help but smile. The same woman who called the cops on me for trespassing, now pays me rent for the privilege of using my road. Epilogue. The valley wins. A year later, I restored most of the valley's natural landscape, replanted trees, cleaned up the creek, and worked with the state to establish part of it as a protected conservation area. The HOA's luxury trail system now ends where my forest begins, and their fancy signs read. Greater than, entering McCord Valley, private conservation land. Do not enter. Occasionally, new residents ask about the man in the old cabin down the hill, the one Karen warns everyone about. They hear wild stories that I'm some kind of eccentric millionaire or ex-cop. But I'm just the guy who came home to what was rightfully his, and taught the HOA a simple lesson. Greater than never assume ownership just because you built a fence. Because sometimes, the land remembers, and so do the people who truly own it.